Hello everyone! In today's video we are building Our Lady of Plumbobs Church. This video is a little longer because I didn't want to break it up into separate interior and exterior videos because the interior didn't take as long as it usually does to decorate, so I hope you guys don't mind a longer speed build with both parts. Let me know though which one you prefer in the comments down below. The inspiration for this lot comes directly from Devin Bumpkin. He's a Sims 4 builder and YouTuber, and I just adore him and all of the lots that he creates. He's currently working on rebuilding all of the lots in Henford-on-Bagley, which is the world that came in Cottage Living. And he's built this church called St. Henry's Church, and that's what this lot is based on. I'll put a link to his playlist where you can watch his videos on the church and other lots in the series. They really are amazing and such an inspiration to me since I do not live in the UK and I've never been there. Devin Bumpkin is from there and most of his lots have a British feeling to them or based on buildings around him, and that's basically the look that I'm going for new Oceanside. So the church has 2 stories and a basement. The main floor has the pews and the pulpit. The second floor has more pews and also the organ. And the basement has the soup kitchen, the Sunday school room for the kiddos, and the high priest's office. And I figured that the soup kitchen area can be transformed into a reception area for when the Sims have weddings and things like that. I mainly used the 42 conversions of the Castle Estate kit from Lord Crumps. I love these. I think I'll probably use them on most, if not all, of the lots in New Oceanside. They're really beautiful and really fit the style of the hood that I'm going for. So later on in the video, you'll see off to the side where I have some items that I plan to use in the build, like the windows, the doors, fences, and such. And it's basically everything from the Castle Estate kit. So thank you very much for converting these, Mr. Lord Crumps. I adore them, and I'll add a link below too where you can find those downloads. The church is owned by the Order of the Grey Woman, which are loosely based on nuns in my hood. There are 3 of them, and they now have custody of the orphans. So if you followed my original Oceanside Build a City challenge, you might remember that the orphans lived with the social worker, Felicity Wayward, but since Felicity right now is very pregnant with twins, I thought the best thing was to move the orphans out to live with someone else. So I gave them to the Sisters of the Grey Woman. You might also remember that Becca Goodacre, who was the farmer of Oceanside, was originally the owner of the church and she was the priest of the church. But since she has 80 million kids and she also has to farm, she really didn't have enough time to be at the church every day and try to convert the Sims. So what I did was I didn't make any new Sims. When I first started my BACC, I also made a university. I don't know why I made a university, I just did. But I didn't know that it would automatically create all of these professors. So I have like 26 professors. Yeah. So for the most part, I just ignored them and I used the visitor controller to keep them away from the community lots. But now that I've changed the hoods and I need more Sims to fill in certain jobs, I just decided to use the professors. So the 3 Sisters of the Order of the Grey Woman, they're originally professors that are now playables. How I play religion in my hood is that, okay, so when Becca Goodacre, the farmer, she died while she was pregnant with her 2nd child, and her husband Owen won the battle with the Grim Reaper. So when that happened, she became aware of the Watcher, quote unquote the Watcher, who is me, the player. And she wanted to serve the Watcher and be the best Sim that she could be. So she studied the ways of the Watcher, which I think I just had her study lifelong happiness. And she became a priest, and then she opened up the church. And when I started the religion in my game, I just followed the religions made up by the Sims Medieval, which are the Peterin and the Jacobin branches. But now I'm kind of doing my own thing. So this branch of the religion is based on the Grey Woman of SimCity statue, which is the statue from Nightlife that basically gives us the player's lore of why children can't die in a fire. I treat this kind of lore as like they're saints, like they're the helpers of the watchers, if that makes any sense. So like the social bunny is like a saint, a helper. The therapist is like a helper, and even the Grim Reaper is like a saint or a helper. So there's going to be various branches of the religions that would quote unquote worship or follow these saints or helpers of the watcher. I already have a Grim Reaper branch of the religion where I'm going to use some of the life and death conversions from Sims 4, and that branch will take care of the cemetery when that's unlocked. It has its own versions of, quote unquote priests, but I'm not going to call them that. I don't know what I'm going to call them yet. I'm also using random professors for that as well. And I still don't know what the social bunny branches or the therapist branches would be yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. And I'm not really a religious person, and this isn't me telling people one religion is better than another or how to play your game. Like, even though the Our Lady of Plumbobs Church is kind of based on Catholicism or Christianity, it's not that at all. And I feel like an old hood like this would have places of worship and such. I always feel like when the Sims turn around and look at you while you're playing and you're all, why did they just look at me like that? That's them, acknowledging that they know you're there. And some Sims might think that they should worship you or try to keep the player happy so that, we won't take away their ladders while they're swimming. You know what I mean? Like they want to stay in our good graces. So they'll start like a religion to, worship us. So the Order of the Grey Woman branch focuses more on family and children. They're the Sims that want to have a lot of kids or just really care about the well-being of children in the hood. That's why I decided that when I took the kids away from the social worker, Felicity, I gave them to the Sisters of the Grey Woman. So how I figure out who is part of the church is that when the business is open, whoever comes to the business and stays during the sermon will want to become a member. And the way they make it official is I put little sinks around that I'm using as like a baptismal font, and they will wash their hands in the sink, and that's how they become a member of the church. When it's a sermon day, I'll bring in all the members of the church using the meeting controller and have them just sit and listen to the sermon. And that's it, really. So back to the church. You see me messing with the roof. I can never seem to get the roof right, so I'm fiddling with the placement quite a bit. And I'm using the fencing to trim the edges like Devin Bumpkin had on his original church. I later changed these fences for the heavier looking castle balustrades. One of the things I really like about the Castle Estate kit are the walls that come with it. This cream limestone looking wall comes in clean versions, weathered versions, half clean, half weathered versions, and a version with moss growing in between the grout. It's just so pretty. and I think it's a wall that can be used in like contemporary builds, historical builds, anywhere really. And I just figured the more weathered sections of the wall would be higher up and the cleaner parts would be at the bottom. It kind of feels like it's more of an ombre effect, and I really like it. So this is where I'm adding the heavy balustrade. It's bulkier than the main fencing I used on the stairs in front, and it makes a more imposing look to the church, I think. And then I remember that I have a pretty golden bell. So I'm taking down part of the wall before the top floor of the church to add the bell, and I'm using the arched fencing that came with the castle estate conversions as walls. And the edge of each corner will have these matching columns to finish off the look. It's kind of hard to see here, but I'm adding part of the moss-covered wall into the foundation. Later I'll add the foundation to the whole first floor as well. I think it adds to the old look of the church to make it seem like it's been around for centuries. Right here is when I realized that I need to lay foundation down around the exterior of the building in order for the columns on the first level to meet with the columns on the second level. Duh. Adding the windows. Again, these are the conversions from the Castle Estate kit. One cool thing about these windows, the interior window is slightly different than the exterior window, especially the weathered recolor of them, so I had to make sure I put them in going in the right direction. I really thought that I would want to use the colored stained glass recolors of the panes on the window, but those seem more for an estate really than a church, so I just used the clear recolors. The land grab estate will probably get the colored stained glass with the crests on them for their house. And here I'm adding trim from the Castle Estate kit all around the exterior. At this point I used the lot adjuster to move the church back 10 tiles so I can put this fountain. It's a Sims medieval conversion from Tony Weiss, I believe. And then I add a pretty moss and stone walkway. And I add the stone walls randomly to the first floor exterior. And on to the landscaping. I try to place all of these pretty cypress trees around the lot like in the original church, but my trees are shorter than the ones he uses. It still looks nice though. These arm thingies, I don't remember what they're actually called. They're reposited to the BB niche set, and I made recolors of the BB niche set with all of the Castle Estate walls. So I'm using the mossy version for these arm thingies. I should probably look up what they're really called, but I'm just too lazy to do that right now. So I'm playing around with the fencing and how I want the sidewalks and things. Since the neighborhood default terrain and the roads I'm using do not have sidewalks, I'm trying to figure out how I would do the sidewalks on each lot. I also changed where the pedestrian portals are because the place where they originally are end up being blocked with other things. Since this is a community lot, I'm using the Sims 3 conversion of the red phone booth. And it just makes me happy. I place the rose bushes here, which I use on all my lots, because they are the placeholders for the sim blender, the visitor controller, and the ACR adjuster. They all have the option to turn into other objects, and I just use the rose bush version. It's easier for me to find them on the lot when they're rose bushes. So these are placeholders until I have the High Priestess by the lot, and then she can bring the actual mods with her and change their model to the rose bush. And now we jump into the interior. The first thing I do is start building the observation deck. This area will have pews and the organ, but really I need to figure out the stairway leading up to the deck first. I initially wanted straight staircases, but they took up too much space, so instead I use 2x2 tile corner staircases. I didn't have a recolor for them that matched the cream limestone walls, so I just made one from the original staircase textures. Then I realized the stairs leading to the basement won't work where they are, so I find another place for them. Here things get a little tricky. I wanted to use the spandrels to trim the upper deck, but these are actual fences, so when I did my playtesting, the Sims couldn't go past that part of the church. So I ended up using the trim I used on the exterior. It worked perfectly, but I changed that off camera so you won't see that here. On either side of the church, I add these 2-story altars that are also converted for The Sims Medieval. In Devin Bumpkin's version, he put a platform with extra seating for like a choir or such, and I tried that, but ultimately I wanted the altars to go there. I also add the Lucky Shrine from Bon Voyage, and I use it so that the Sims can ask for a blessing from the Grey Woman. So this is my version of praying for the Sims. And I know there are items like CC that have prayer animations, and I actually have those in my game, but I don't use them. I only use them as decorations because I don't know, I'm uncomfortable with the Sims praying to me. So for me, making a wish for a blessing makes more sense for the Sims. This is a little stage at the front of the church. It's meant to be the pulpit, but when you place the lectern or the pulpit up there, the Sims listening to the sermon will get on the platform with you instead of sitting in their seats and listening. So the pulpit has to be on the same level as the seats for the Sims to use them, which really sucks for decorating. But I still wanted to add like the fancy raised platform to complete the look of the church. It'd be really cool if someone could make like an oversized version of their Grey Woman statue, like a 2-story version, or I guess a slightly smaller than 2-story version so it fits on the platform and it doesn't go through the roof, because I think that would be perfect right there. And here I'm just adding some alcoves, which I'll add more statues of the Grey Woman, because you can never have too many statues of the Grey Woman in the Church of the Grey Woman. And now we're moving up to the balcony to add more statues. These are the monk statues converted from Sims Medieval. There's 3 different ones, and I haven't figured out who they are exactly or what they are. Maybe they represent the social bunny, the therapist, and the Grimm before they evolve to their final form. I don't know. Maybe along with the gray woman, they were all part of the same faith or the same group of watcher helpers, and then branched out on their own to make the other branches of the religion. I wonder, maybe they should be called the Watchers Protectors or something like that, or Agents of the Watchers or something. Okay, I'm just I'm just making up lore on the fly here. But yeah, this is where I placed the the 3 monk statues up here on the balcony. So the decor of the interior again is supposed to look old and weathered, like the church has been in New Oceanside for centuries. So I'm using this rustic wood floor for the balcony and medieval style chairs and old candle lighting all around. The organ is up here too. At first I was thinking to put the organ on the platform on the first level, but I want the focus for the Sims to be the pulpit instead of the organ, because knowing the Sims, they'll want to play the organ while the high priest is delivering her sermon, and then everyone will crowd around and boo the organ player, and no one will listen to Sister Ella trying to convince them not to wear makeup. Like seriously, that was her first sermon when I was playtesting. She was like, no makeup. I'm like, girl, she's already in character. Now I'm starting to decorate the main floor. I fixed the stairs that were facing in the wrong direction, and I added a vestibule, which I'm going to put the ticket machine in. Most of the time when I decorate, I just throw a lot of stuff on the lot that I want to use and then find places for them later. So that's what I'm doing here. I make collection folders for everything. So I'm basically using the church collection folder the most, and then of course the Castle Estate Kit collection folder. Collection folders for me make everything so much easier because I literally have so much CC, and trying to go through all the different categories to find stuff can make you go mad very fast. Especially when you're looking for a certain table. So you look under the tables, but it's not categorized as a table. It's categorized as a sculpture. Like, why is it a sculpture? I don't know. So, like, literally, I would never find anything if it wasn't for the collection folders. This is the lucky shrine that I put in front of another statue, the Grey Woman. I have invisible recolors by P4 Sims, I believe. That's why you can only see the little square part and not the rest of the shrine. I thought it was a cool idea. I used the same trick in the previous Lady of Plumbobs Church, and It's just fun to see the Sims use it. And this is my brilliant idea for baptismal fonts. Sinks! So I'm just using the regular sink that comes with the game. I think it's pretty. And I'm covering up the leg of the sink with the pedestal and placing it in front of another saint looking thing from Sims Medieval. And there you go. But really, I just wanted to have some kind of action the sim can perform to announce that they have converted to this religion. And for me, I just direct them to the sink. They wash their hands or they drink a glass of water. Holy water, by the way. That it's holy water that the high priestess has sanctified or whatever. And then they become a member of the church. Now we're heading down to the basement, and the basement has a dining area, a kitchen, the bathrooms, a Sunday school room, and the high priest's office. The high priest, Sister Elsa, she has the comfort soup benefit, so I consider that area a soup kitchen. There's also a buffet, and I use this for after the service. The Sims can grab something to eat, and they can socialize and stuff. I figure for weddings, I can move out the tables and chairs and add a DJ booth for nicer seating. I just don't know yet. But the Sims that are members of the church will marry in the church and nowhere else. I plan on building like an outdoor garden where Sims can marry on another lot, but that's just for people who aren't members of the church. So if you're a member of this church, you have to marry here. So I gotta figure out a way to like zhuzh it up for the weddings. The Sunday school area I built because the children can't watch the sermons for some reason, unless I'm doing something wrong, but they can't watch. So I built this little area, and I'm using a vocational lectern so they can learn something. Except when I had the other sister try to teach them, it said she didn't know enough of anything to teach anybody. So she's got some skilling I need to do for her. But for the playtesting, I just had them sit in the pews and talk to each other. So at least they got their social up, and they were occupied while the parents weren't listening to the sermon. So it was all good. The office is just an office, but it does have a door that leads to a shrine that can call the Grim Reaper. Yeah. And that's about it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later!